Meeting to order at 7 p.m. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 3, public comment. Yes.
Mayor and the board, I'd like to ask, I noticed in the villages that you have a proposal for a blight ordinance, right?
Dolly.
Well,
Announce your name and address for the record.
okay, Dolly Petron, 5 Mile River Road, Putnam, Connecticut. Would that also pertain to the Concord Street and the buildings of, well, I consider it as Mansfield's Corner and LaPointe Jewelers? How long has it been since they've been working on that building? You know, and nothing seems to be done. And that's right in the heart of the city. You know, it'd be nice to get it going. And would that also be into that blight ordinance?
I don't think that there's anybody that's spared out of the blight ordinance itself. Once it's passed, it will react, and whoever falls into the blight ordinance falls into the blight ordinance, Dolly. As far as properties that are under construction, we have to make sure that they're buttoned up, that they're safe, that we don't want, I guess, I look at them as being attractive nuisances sometimes, because when something is out there that's attractive to kids or other people that may be attracted to go in or investigate, or it's things like that can cause harm and problems sometimes.
But hasn't the town given them money to work on the building also?
No,
or did that not go through?
Yeah, if you're referring to 88 Main Street,
yes.
That's well underway. I don't think I have Delper here to give you an update tonight, but I know it's well underway, and that part of it should take care of itself very shortly.
Underway for
the
what?
LaPointe building,
are they working on it?
they will. I know that they're out to bid on certain portions of things, but I think, Dolly, there's some things that are date sensitive that have to be done. I think there's certain things that have to be accomplished before the end of December, for example.
So you gave them a time limit, is that it?
Well, we don't. I think it's set up when they get the grants. They give them certain time schedules that they're obligated to meet. Or I believe they get fined, for not meeting those obligations.
Okay,
But 88 Main is actually moving along pretty nicely. The LaPointe building is privately owned. As long as he's buttoned up the building, and that it's, as far as it being safe, and we can talk to the building inspector about things like that. We can talk to our fire marshal. He knows what's attractive nuisances are, in and around the area. But not much I can do, unless it falls out, within the guidelines of the blight ordinance itself. It's
You just mentioned that 88 Main Street, is that privately owned also, or is it not?
It is. It's owned by Bruce Dexter.
Okay, so that also is privately owned.
Yeah, but he has funding coming his way, as you're aware.
And LaPointe.
And LaPointe is, there's no funding. Actually, I think our attempts to help him or talk with him, we've extended our hand to him on different occasions, and he's not, asked for any help. So.
Well, that's one good thing for us.
Yeah, well,
but
it is and it isn't. If there's a possibility that we could do something to that building, or find funding for the building, or at least help in some way. Let's put it that way. If we have a healthy communications with him, it tells us what's going on, and I think as residents that makes us feel a little bit more comfortable as well. But it is, those things are starting to move along. And
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, public comment. Dan.
Good evening. Dan Lucia, 145 Woodstock Avenue.
Brother Michael has gone to Florida, so I'm here to follow up how we're doing on Bowl Street.
Yeah, in our packets tonight, and let me find it here, Dan. I know there's been some activity. I did talk with our town attorney last week, and one part of the activity was that John had made an offer to us to acquire the property around his home.
So wait, did you say acquire?
To acquire. Maybe if you have a moment, let me read it to you. On Wednesday, September the 26th, 2012, I received a response from Attorney O'Connell to my letter dated August 29th, 2012. Attorney O'Connell has inquired as to whether or not the town might be willing to sell the land between the clients, the Perry's line, and the fence for the sum of $5,000. I told him that I would pass it along to the board, to the mayor, and to the board for a response, and please review and advise. I did talk to Town Administrator Cutler on Friday a little bit, and I don't find that as being acceptable. I think, you know, and again, I can only say from my seat here that at this particular point that the town, I would think the town wants their property back. So I can't make all the decisions regarding that, Dan, but I'll talk to the board has it tonight.
You are on notice that if this property does come up for sale, that'll be approved by the town, right?
Oh, it has to follow all sorts of,
Okay.
yeah,
And
exactly, yeah.
Michael will definitely be bidding on this property.
Yeah. Well, I don't think at this particular point it would be, you know, my favor would be not to sell it to anybody.
Right, but if it's,
My
if you're
concern,
putting that.
yeah, my concern is certainly, you know, with the problems that we've had out in that area, and you know, the way that neighborhood has been for 100 years, that you know, to protect not only the parking for the people, the residents that live there,
Right.
but it's also connected to Tar Park. So selling any portion of that property to me would be a poor decision by us. But you know, if I were to make a recommendation, my recommendation would be not to sell the property.
No. Have you received a letter from Michael's attorney?
I haven't seen the letter.
Okay, you haven't seen one, then I'll get in touch with the attorney and you will receive.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dan.
Oh, I'm not done yet. The building on 145, not 145, my house. That's a beautiful place, by the way. No place, no place. The house next to me, the garage in the back. The person that owns the building, they filled out another application.
When was that, Dan?
This application is dated 9/10/12. Yep, 9/10/12. It's for 141 Woodstock Avenue, which does not exist. There's no 141 Woodstock Avenue on the application.
That might be the third floor there.
There's no third floor.
How many kids?
We're gonna do the third
We're a
floor.
lot, so we know all
Yeah,
about that. Though.
and also on the application, it says it lists the owner of the property as Andy Karayan. He's not the owner, his nephews are. So this application I can't see being any good, but it was signed by your building inspector.
I haven't seen it, Dan.
Okay, well, would you like to?
Yeah, I'd like to be able to have a copy of it.
This is my copy.
Yeah, it's your copy.
This is my copy.
I think Denise can manage to make a copy for us before the evening's out.
Okay.
Yeah.
This person also received a letter from Attorney St. Onge, and I don't know if there's been any follow-up on this. It says further complaints have been raised as to both the manner of construction and compliance with the town's setback regulations. The initial permit in this matter shows that this structure is set back at least 5 feet from the boundary line. Prior to spending additional money on this structure, you should confirm that you are at least 5 feet back from the fence line, and that the fence line is in fact the property line. Now, we had a discussion with Mr. Post saying he wasn't a surveyor. Well, from the attorney, if the attorney's saying it's a property line, maybe he's a surveyor. But why would you say property line, saying it is a property line, and Mr. Post is saying it's not a property line?
Yeah.
Here in the letter, it says it is a property line. I know for a fact he's not 5 feet from the property line, it's only about 3.5 to 4 feet.
Somebody's gonna have to survey that then, that's the only way you're gonna find out where the line is.
So the owner of the property has to survey it, if the owner's supposed to survey it.
I would think.
But now he has a permit to continue construction. I also have a question as to the trusts that are on this building right now. They're not engineered trusts, and they're supposed to be. They were supposed to, the paperwork is supposed to be on the trusts, and it's supposed to be handed in with the permit saying they are engineered. They're not. And yet this continues to go on. The letter says, you know, I give my uncle permission to continue building this garage. If it's illegal from the ground, it's illegal on the ground, the walls are no good. I don't care if you got 30 tons of concrete in this place. The trusts are illegal. And nobody's doing anything.
Yeah.
They should be taken down. It's gotta come down.
I haven't seen that part of it, Dan, and, you know, I can talk to Lee again in regards to that. I know I've had several conversations with him. I had a conversation with the three of us at one point.
Right.
And I'd be certainly happy to host another meeting.
Well, it's not necessary to have a meeting. The trusts are illegal. It's an illegal trust.
Yeah.
You can't continue building. I don't care how many permits
Well,
you
we
have.
was supposed to get something from Lowe's.
Right,
and say-
but it's supposed to be, when you fill out an application, it's supposed to be with the application. It's supposed to be on the trust themselves. It's not supposed to be taken down. The trust is supposed to be stamped that they're engineered trust. There's no paperwork. Yeah, Mr. Post continues to allow this to happen.
He's not here to defend himself, Dan, so it's hard for me to defend him or talk one way or the other on the way that the project is. I'd be happy to have Lee at our next meeting again, you know, make sure that that happens. But
I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing wrong if something's not right? I'm doing something. This person continues to allow this. I understand he's a building inspector.
I understand that, Dan, but I have you saying one thing, I have Lee saying something else. Let me see if I can come up with a way to make sure that we can come to an agreement between both parties.
Again,
If I have to consult somebody else in the field, maybe we can do that as well, Dan.
Again, Connecticut Building Statute, R 802.10, trust design drawings prepared in conformance with section R 802.10.1 shall be provided to the building official and approved prior to installation. Trust design drawings shall include at a minimum the information specified below, and there's a list of things that are required.
Dan, the only thing I can tell you is, you know, I can't give you an answer. I can continue to look into it for you, and I'm certainly happy to do that. Trying to come up with what is right at this particular point has been a very difficult thing. I have you on one side, I have our building official on the other, and I'm trying to weigh the information given on by both parties and to find out exactly what's true and what's not true. I know in the past that you've cited different building codes and whatnot, and I'm not saying they weren't right, but I'm not sure that they all agree with, you know, the project that's being done. But I'd be happy to bring Lee into our meeting, our next meeting again, and discuss the issues that you have.
So he can accuse me of having a personal vendetta against him.
Well, I don't think this board sees it as a personal vendetta against anybody. I think the truth of the matter is we need to get to the bottom line here, Dan. And without Lee Post being here, I can't do that.
So if I have an engineer inspect the property from my property, could obviously look at these trusts and say that they're not legal, would you accept that? If I have an engineer come out to my house and just, you can look at them and know that they're not legal.
Dan, I'm not sure I can do that. I'd be happy to check into that as well.
No, can I do it?
I don't think I can give you authority to do anything like that at this particular point. Again, you know, we have a building official that comes and tells us certain things. You come back and tell us another certain number of events and things. And let me see if and I'll consult. Maybe I'll talk to Doug tomorrow and see if we can't consult a third party to see if we can't resolve it. How's
Well,
that?
there's a simple resolution, is call the state building inspector.
Well, that may be the third party, but let me see what I can do to bring in a third party to see if we can't nail down and get this taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
It's just very difficult for me to, I bargain with you on one side, and I understand what you're saying, and Lee tells us something else on the other side.
But this-
What is, what's right? And,
Well, if it's,
if I have to bring in a third party, I guess that's what we have to do, Dan. Maybe that's the best idea.
if it was right from the beginning, which it wasn't, there wouldn't be a problem. From ground zero, when he put the footings in. The footings
Yeah,
themselves,
Yeah, yeah.
again, aren't 5 feet. And if he had to have it inspected, why didn't Lee say, gee, before you do this, it would be a good idea to have it surveyed?
I can't tell you because I'm not a building official, Dan. But again, if I have to bring in a third party, somebody to tell us what's right and wrong, maybe that's what we need to do. And we'll discuss that, I'll discuss that possibility with Doug tomorrow.
Right,
I'd be
thank you.
happy to do that. Hi, Dolly.
Hi, Dolly Petron. I can see where Dan's coming from. It seems to me if there's a complaint right now, there should be a work stoppage. Otherwise, there's another whole month that continues going on and this man's doing something that's not right. I can understand
But
where
again,
Dan's
Dolly,
coming
one person
There
is
should be
saying
a work
something and
stoppage.
another person is saying something. How is it, how can I judge what's right and wrong at this particular point? Maybe
Well-
bringing in that third person into the mix is the
But
the
there'll be
solution.
another month that.
Dan, is he actually doing construction on the building now?
Well, according to this permit, it says you can.
He said he can, but he's not done anything.
Well, he hasn't, well, I work during the day, so I really don't know if he started or not. But I'm
Yeah.
sure it's signed.
Yeah. Let me see if I can't, Dan, bring in a third person
You know,
to
I
see if we
mean,
can get it resolved.
They're going, like I said, the person is gonna look at this and say right away, these are no good.
Yeah. Well, let's find that out before we go ahead and
Okay.
say any more. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Further public comment this evening? Thank you all.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry, Peter?
Peter Seraphin, 607 5 Mile River Road. Seems the past couple of weeks or so, the magic word in this community is audit. And I'm going to be commenting on that right from the beginning on. Just one complaint this time. I made up a list of 20 complaints, but I won't do it tonight. It's one over 20 right now. All right, the reason why I'm bringing it forth on here is that it was said that we had the latest audit by an independent firm. True. We have, the latest one is for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2011, which was last year. They were in the process of doing it. Now, if you people have your audit and your file here right now, I would say you have to get it out. Now, where I'm having a problem on this is that if you're reading the charter states that the Board of Finance is the budget-making authority for the finance of Putnam. Not the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance. They're controlling everything. They're controlling the management, setting of policies and everything else. And evidently, right up front over here, they're not doing their job. They are not doing their job. I mean, as the first order of complaint is that when at the annual meeting where the town voted on the budget, the meeting was closed, Board of Finance had a meeting right after that, a few minutes, and they set the mill rate probably 15 minutes after the meeting. And the charter states that the Board of Finance, after the annual meeting, has 10 days to set up, because there's a lot of work involved, but that's up to them to decide. I mean, I think what they've got to do is someone's feet's got to be put to the fire. That's your job.
Up to 10 days, Peter?
What?
Up to 10 days?
You can take 10 days to
Up to 10 days.
After that, then the Board of Selectmen can.
Yep.
Because it's quite, they got to check out what the the average income is in the town and everything else, not have something that was already determined when you're coming up and passing something at their meeting in 15 minutes. It's all predetermined. But anyway, I'm going to get back to that section as far as the audit's concerned. It's in this section. Let's see, it was actually number 9, page 449. Now, what they were doing is listing on what's happening here as far as an agreement. Now, the agreement as far as the landfill with Wheelabrator will be paying $250,000 rent every year. Rent. That's the key word in this one here right now. $250,000. Now, that agreement was written up in 1993, and I think they started commencement on that one there was 1999. But even going on now, what they've done is that on that report, on that audit, is that in that particular year, ending in 1911, the town took in a little over $3 million. Now, of that $3 million, it was also stated in there that as far as the ash coming in, was approximately $2.7 million. Subtracting those two, it comes out exactly to $250,000. Wheelabrator paid their fee, their rent for that year. But what we've done is that we go along. That was in the 2011. Now this last year, this year, 2012, 2013 budget that was passed. If get your copies out later on, you can check it out. On page 15, listing the incomes. General government. Subject code 4412. Ash landfill tipping fees. Over $3 million. So what was included? The Board of Finance included the rent money and tipping fees. That's wrong. Now the Board of Finance should have said it at the beginning. If we're getting $250,000 each year, no strings attached, no nothing, it should have put into a separate fund and carried on right now. Right now, that should have been probably taken over $2 million, that account. But if you're spending that rent money as tipping fees, that's a no-no. That is actually a no-no. Now, at this point over here, you can't say, well, the auditors went along and, sanctioned it. Not true. Not true. The audit, as far as the books are concerned, it's only a partial. All right. Right off there, CCR, page 1, comment. Management of the town is responsible for establishing and maintaining effective internal control over financial reporting. And planning and performing our audit, we consider the town's internal control over financial reporting as a basis for designing our auditing procedures for the purpose of expressing our opinion on a financial statement, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the town's internal control. They cover themselves. That means, well, members, you got to straighten that out. You got to have something where there's internal control, and that's part of it. I mean, when you're taking rent money and classifying as tipping fees, we're playing Chinese checkers. Sure, the money's accounted for going through, but it's not in the right procedure. Now, there should have been over $2 million. Right now, if you added in this fiscal year, another $250,000, there'll be over $3 million rent money. No strings attached. No lawyers to pay. No engineers to pay. That was rent money. I mean, if I went along, I've got a couple of apartments and everything else. If I spent the money on everything except what paying the bills or something like that, it'd be in trouble. It'd be nice to do it, but $250,000. That's the agreement. You can't go along, get that rent money and call it tipping fees. You have to look in that one, in that one there. So that when that $3 million as tipping fees, which was included in setting the mill rate, they used the rent money to set the mill rate. That's a no-no.
Peter, may I
That's a
interrupt
good
you
one.
for a second?
Pardon?
I think that it's $250,000, just like in the new contract that we're doing with Wheelabrator. They have to guarantee us so much money every year. If they don't send us any money at all, zero, they gotta give us $250,000 a year. That's in the original contract. If they don't bring any ask at all, they gotta pay us $250,000. Just like in the new contract, there's gonna be a stipulation on so much money too.
Do you have a copy of that agreement?
This is 15 years ago, it's just off the top of my head, but
Scott
might
have
know
the
more than
floor.
I have.
You're interrupting my
I
hearing.
think I'm right.
Base rent per year is $250,000 with additional rent determined based on a portion of revenue generated from the ash residue. So when somebody's been, talking to O'Connor, well, we'll say, well, they're going to pay a little bit more rent on something else from the residue. They treat somebody's treating us like fools. Rent is rent, ash and ash, and then when you go along, we get paid by the cubic yard conversion factor or by the ton. You gotta look into this. So, I mean, we got money just floating around doing nothing. Well, we're spending it. Right? Now, at this point over here, I had one of the town officials, and well, what are we saving the money for? Well, we're gonna be saving the money, what's gonna be happening to the future. If we're not, we've been advised when Danny was the mayor, we said leave everything alone, let it accumulate a little bit, then look at maybe just spending the interest on it, just like you would on the cemetery associations. Associations were probably set up in the 1800s, they're still functioning today because they had the money, they invested it, and paid attention to the spending. Now, you're gonna be looking at it now. Now, you look in here, we say, well, we did that, now listen to this one. We did that to keep the mill rate down. Taxes down. Well, that's not true. You take from 10 years ago, in the 10-year period, our budget increased this last year from 19, on that one there, $3.5 million on a population that's going down. I mean, at that point, I think that we had the population of maybe 99,100, or 02 it was 9,000. And we can't seem to get a figure on the actual population of Putnam. We'll be lucky. I'm making based on my vacancies on the rent and making the vacancies as far as the students at the high school. We're going to be lucky if we have 8,600 people. Population is down. Eventually, it's going to come up. It's going to come up because when things are straightened out. But the thing is, if we are going along and we're doing our services based on 9,000 and it's 86, we're overspending. And that's just what's happening over here. Board of Finance has got to do. I mean, I look at the Board of Finance. How often do they meet? Once a month. Right now, to straighten the mess out, get policies going, to see who's doing what they're spending, they probably should have 3 meetings a month to straighten this out to get the policy. This is what we need. It's not up to you people. The Board of Finance. That's why they were turned when we set up the charter authority. Somebody has to be in charge. It's not a very popular committee to be on because you're going to look at the realistic, what's good for the taxpayers, not for the party or anything else. What's going to be good for the long range. So that's just one area. Right? The rent money is rent money. There's no guarantee. It doesn't say that. I mean, if that was saying that, the auditors were covering themselves on this one. They're saying they set up their audit based on what the internal control is, but it needs adjusting. It has to be fixed, and it's time to fix it right now. But in the meantime, I think something has to be done, and as I said, I only got one complaint. I've got 19 more coming over a period of time. Just to get off the subject here a little bit, when you had the problem here with a building over there on Woodstock Avenue, and you're saying going to a third party, you do have a third party, but you got a minute. The Building Code of Appeals, that's where you go to. If the business official did something over there, and whoever wants to challenge it, that's where it goes. Then after that, if it doesn't work out for them, you go to court. Now, as it stands right now, you have no choice but to go to the state fire marshal, because you don't have a Building Code of Appeals. But the charter says you shall have it.
We haven't had one in town for many years, Peter.
I was on it, the first one that was on that consolidation, I chaired it. There was some of the others, that were in the building game and everything else. I think that, but also by the same token, that's the one agency where you don't have to be a resident Putnam. You can get the Building Code of Appeal from the surrounding town to act as the third person, and it's a freebie. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Would there be further public comment this evening? Seeing none, thank you. Thank you, Peter.
I'll be here next time.
Item number 4 is approval of minutes. In your packet, you have the minutes from September the 17th, 2012, Board of Selectmen minutes. What would be your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Item 5 is petitions and communications. CD dated September, I don't have a date, from Brown and Caldwell on behalf of Wheelabrator regarding the third quarter 2012 monitoring reports. CD is available in the mayor's office in its entirety for review during normal business hours. Item number 6 are reports of standing committees. Item 6A is General Government Committee.
We have worked on a lot, working on the numbering system, and Doug got the draft to me and Attorney Sarange today. And once I'm sure we hear back from that, we'll be re-meeting to get that out to the selectmen. We're just waiting for Bill. Certification, it's there. We've got it all, and it's in process. And the blight ordinance, which we should be hopefully looking at.
2 things on the blight ordinance. One, it has been referred to the Special Service District, and I know from comments in the Villager Club, somebody pay attention, that Chief Hayes is reviewing it. He's out in California now at a Chief of Police conference, but I know that he'll, when he comes back, he's aware of it. I talked to the Deputy Chief, and I know they do have some concerns that they'd like to talk to the committee about. So, and the other thing is that effective today, there is a new public act that make changes in the existing state statute regarding municipal blight ordinances, and our town attorney would like to bring that to the attention of the General Government Committee for possible inclusion in the blight ordinance. So it relates to warning the person who's aggrieved by it, and also the possibility that when you levy a civil penalty, that the civil penalty is recorded on the land records and constitute a lien in the nature of the tax, which has precedent.
So I guess all we need to do is just get back together once we hear from them.
And just one other item is that you do have in your packet an agenda item that the town planner has brought to our attention. As many of you know, we've been working on over a number of years the state's requirements under the Municipal Stormwater Sewer Program, which is MS4. I see only 2 S's there. I don't know what the other 2 stand for. But as part of our program, to comply with the state permit, we're required to adopt an illicit discharge ordinance, and a copy of it, a model ordinance, is included for review. And the recommendation from staff is that this draft ordinance be referred to the General Government Committee for consideration. So if that could be an action today by the board to do that.
So as soon as we hear from Bill on that draft, I think we can at least set a date for the General Government Committee and hopefully get a couple of things run down.
Wonderful, very good. Thank you, Alma. Questions, Palmer, anybody?
Yes, refer it to General Government Committee.
Okay, I need a motion to let me see, want to word it correctly, to turn over to the General Government Committee the possibility of including the stormwater discharge ordinance,
Illicit discharge.
illicit, for further review and study. How's that? I didn't do that very good, but that was a hard one. Would I have a motion on the floor this evening to do that?
So moved.
Have motion and second. Comments, questions?
Just one question.
Sure.
Doug, and you haven't had a chance to look at it. Have you had a chance to review it, or is this?
No, I haven't. Don,
Oh, it just came today?
Yes.
Just came today. Yeah. I haven't seen it yet either.
Which reminds me of the fog ordinance thing too.
Yep, that will be part of it.
That's part of it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? So carried.
Abstaining? No, I'm kidding.
I couldn't say it right. Thank you. Item 7, reports of special committees, the Putnam Feasibility Study Group.
There's going to be a special meeting scheduled for October 18th at 5 p.m. It's a joint committee, 5 p.m., right? It's a joint meeting of the WPCA with the Facility Study Group.
Very good. That moves forward. Good stuff.
It's here, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Item 7B is a Wheelabrator Contract Review Committee update, and I know that's...
We are going to schedule a meeting. I gave some dates to Scott. I forgot what dates they were.
I gave you, both of them were okay with me, but I
Right.
haven't heard back from you.
I know.
Okay.
Which dates were they, do you remember? Okay. I think it's about the same week.
11th or the 19th.
Yeah, 11th or the 19th, something like that. So we'll be scheduling a meeting with that committee very shortly.
Very good, thank you. Item 8 is Economic Community Development Report, no report this evening. Item 9 is the Building Officials EO report, no report this evening. Item 10 is Town Administrator's report.
Short and sweet, I had 3 items. The Intertown Capital Equipment Purchase Program, I worked on paperwork for 2 applications, 2 joint applications. One is with Ashford and Thompson, and that's for the purchase of computer equipment for the town. Our consultant has gone through the town hall and determined which machines have to be replaced. So there's about 20 machines that the town will be acquiring through this program, and it's a 50% reimbursement because I think both Thompson and Putnam are distressed municipalities under the program. You get a 50% reimbursement from the state if you have distressed municipality incorporated into the application. The other one is and you were aware of this from last time, is that we are also filing with Brooklyn a project for a acquisition of a slice seeder, but it's actually a overseeder dethatcher is the new name for it. So it's approximately, let's say it's $10,000 up to 50%, so we'll share that 50% between Brooklyn
And that would be with the Board of Education.
that would be Board of Education.
And the nice part about the computer program is Putnam would be entitled to 20 computers, but it's 50 computers overall between 3 towns. That's pretty good.
One other question, excuse me.
Sure, sure.
And the 50% for the cost of equipment, in other words, they're going to, because we're a distressed community, we're going to get 50% of the cost of the 20 computers.
Right.
Reimbursement, right? Okay, thank you.
If there were no distress, I think it's only like 25%.
Yeah, so that's, okay, thank you.
Pride, I attended the monthly meeting, and you're going to have a presentation from the Pride group tonight. But we're in the process of the coalition proceeding to implement their STOP grant, approximately $50,000 that we got under from the federal government for the STOP grant. And they just previously, and they can talk about it tonight, but they sponsored the Drug Take Back Day this past Saturday. And that's between the Putnam Police Department and the Putnam Elks. And then I've also attended during the month of regular meetings of Board of Finance, the High School Building Committee, a special town meeting on the forensic audit, and the monthly NEPA meeting.
It's a busy couple of weeks, Doug.
Yes.
Yeah. Questions of Doug, anybody? Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
Unfinished business, Quinnipiac Regional Technology Park and Bridge. I don't know of anything new that's gone on. Everything seems to be proceeding on time. I did talk with Senator Williams a couple of weeks ago, and he asked me how the project was going, and asked if he could help in any way. And we seem to be on schedule, on time, and nothing that is distressed or anything. So I'm happy with that. Triad, is Michael here tonight? I didn't see Michael.
No, unfortunately, there's a boys soccer game.
Okay.
And he's the manager, so.
I know last meeting he was going to the Special Service District, and I haven't gotten any
He was going to go to recreation.
recreation as well.
And we haven't been able to pull together the
Very good.
presentation that we want to make for recreation.
Thank you. 11C is charter revision. It'll continue on our agenda as we go along.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
Why is charter revision keep coming again?
Well, I think it's something that we eventually want to look at, John.
Is there a
I think
reason you
it's
want over the charter? Can you give me a
it's
specific
that-
reason you're looking at?
that important. Yeah, I just think it's time. I think the document itself needs to be updated.
Is there anything particular you want to open the charter to look at?
Do I have a particular item? No, but I think it's time that we open the charter, that we look at it, John. That we look at it from front to back. It's an older document. I think, times have changed, just like anything else. A business plan changes. I think the charter, I think our times have changed. I think it's important that we look at it. I think there are some things in there that no longer apply, and I think there are some things in there that should change, John.
Okay, I think we should learn it before we change anything in it, though. To be honest with you, we don't follow it too much, so I think knowing the
Well,
document would be better than
That comment was unwarranted, John.
No.
But I appreciate your comments. How's that?
That's great.
New business, adoption of recognition of service policy. Doug?
Again, this is in recognition of the problem that we had with the former mayor and the gift that was presented to him at the end of his term. So recognizing that we do have provisions under existing ordinance that deal with recognition of our elected and appointed officials, it probably would be appropriate so that we're, again, made aware of it and continue to keep it in front of us, that a policy be a statement be adopted, a policy be adopted by the Board of Selectmen that will be incorporated into the policies that have been adopted in the past by the board and will guide the staff in terms of how to proceed in terms of recognition.
In the future.
In the future.
Yeah.
I have a question about that. The ethics code that was adopted by ordinance addresses that issue very specific. Very specific, it does. And I don't see why we have to adopt anything more. If we follow the code of ethics, we don't have to adopt anything. It's already there.
I disagree. I think we've been over this before. We've talked about the code of ethics. We've talked about what limitations it puts.
Did you read the code of ethics?
Yes, I've read it numerous times, actually, Barney.
Okay, so it says $100 maximum for plaques or anything else to a public official. I got a copy of it here. You'd like to read it. So I think that, to adopt another policy on top of a policy that we don't follow, I think if we follow policy, we don't run into trouble. If we don't follow policy, you always try and adopt something else that's already there. It's a code of ethics. Somebody violated the code of ethics, period. Understand that's my motion.
I would like to make a motion to pass this on to the General Government Committee so that we can overlook both documents and make a determination and bring it back to the selectmen.
Would I have a second on the motion?
Second.
A motion and a second. Further comment?
I'm not really with the comment, but I just want to bring something up before. The only thing, again, the ethics code is very clear in terms of the $100, but I think this sets a guideline by the selectmen that, because usually it falls on the staff to make a determination as to what kind of recognition goes forward. Usually, in some cases, just when somebody resigns, it's a letter of, accepting the resignation with, regret. But this gives us at least some ability to say, okay, maybe this person should have a certificate or a plaque or other type of ceremonial award. That's the only reason, one other reason that you might want to consider having the actual policy in place that would guide the ability of the staff to say, okay, we have to stay within that less than $100, but it gives us some guidance in terms of a, ability to give somebody a certificate if they've been here for, I don't know, 5 years, let's say, as opposed to somebody who's been here for 20 years.
Yeah.
You might want to look at, being able to provide them with a plaque.
The other
Again,
part-
we've been all over the board on this in the past, and
The other part was, in this particular case, you had a mayor that was going out that really wasn't, I guess not the mayor when he went out. So how did those, how did the,
Right, that's
how did that fall into those ethics code or with what we have presented tonight? So I think that was part of it too.
Yeah, exactly. The Code of Ethics covers people currently sitting in office under the situations described in the Code of Ethics. Someone who is no longer a public official
Falls outside.
is no longer covered by the Code of Ethics, with the exception of those provisions of the code that talk about appearing before a board that one was recently a member of. Gift policies don't apply to someone who's not an elected official or a town official.
Well, I disagree with you. He was still an elected official at the time, but not knowing what was in the envelope on his part. He didn't know what he was receiving. So it's a moot point. But I want to make it perfectly clear, when that gift was given to him, he was still an elected official. Upon giving him the gift, he then swore in a Mayor Flex. So you can look at that, and I remember that distinctly. But I'm just saying that we got to, I don't want to go over it anymore because the auditor still hasn't got back to me with a thing. So,
So,
You know.
we have a motion on the floor.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So carried. Item 12B is Pride update.
I'm pleased to present whatever members of Pride, Romeo, you would do
Please
the
come
honors,
forward.
please.
I'll do the honors, sure.
Also, you have in front of you that, you have in front of you a report from Pride also that they'll be going over probably.
Thank you for coming in, Romeo.
Oh, no problem. Anytime. I feel honored to address you this evening.
Oh, man, you should be much more.
Here's an entire packet that I'm going to provide for everyone here. Actually, this packet was put together by our collaborative agency, CHR, and they have come to the rescue of Putnam Pride. If it wasn't for the individuals from CHR, we would be very much hurting. Denise? Okay. I don't know, I'm just going to walk around like I own the place, so don't mind me. I'll give you the bad news first. The bad news is that in the fall of 2011, as you know, Pride did not receive a Drug-Free Communities grant. We were operating under a 5-year grant, which ran out in 2011. And unfortunately, again this year, we failed to meet the threshold. It was a really high number. We needed 95 points to even be considered for a continuation grant or a second round of funding. Putnam is still eligible to get 5 more years of funding under the Drug-Free Communities Grant Program. And we will reapply. As far as the coalition is concerned, we're going to keep applying until, we're going to get that next 5 years. Now the good news, and that's the only bad news I have, is that we lost our funding. And because of the dedicated people from the town of Putnam and those people who were on the board, the coalition, and our community partners with their generosity, we've been able to survive. We've had very little money, and we've been able to continue producing and doing what we do best, and that is developing and disseminating materials for substance abuse prevention. Our coalition, we go around and ask people for money, and I was at Rotary this past week, and we got money from Rotary, we get money from the Lions Club, we get money from several different organizations and from a lot of businesses in town. So we've managed to continue to provide for our mission, to keep going. What we've accomplished in the past year since I've been here, we've continued to maintain a strong community-based coalition. We've conducted leadership training with staff members and volunteers. We formed our collaborations with the Putnam Business Association, and we've, in collaboration with the Putnam Police Department, we've also tried to convince the stores in town to stop selling drug paraphernalia, in particular pipes and bongs. Also, the synthetic drugs, K2, Spice. We haven't seen any bath salts, and probably nobody even knows what those are. Very few people probably do. But bath salts are a synthetic cocaine that kids are using. They're smoking it, and it's been causing a lot of medical issues. We've worked with the Family Resource Center and the Recreation Department to sponsor events that promote family values. We always have events on Family Day, and we also, we work with the Recreation Department. We do Trick or Treat Street. We do all of the events that happen in Putnam. 2 years ago, Pride sponsored and helped sponsor the SAD chapter of Putnam High School. They didn't have one, and it was under a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of red tape, but we were able to provide some funding and to fill out all of the paperwork so that Putnam High School could have its own SAD chapter. What we've tried to do is we tried to follow the SAMHSA's modified approach to environmental strategies, and that, again, I'm probably talking, who knows what an environmental strategy is. What we've tried to do is communicate to parents and to guardians and to people in town with our townwide media campaigns, our social norming campaign, and campaigns to remove all paraphernalia sales in Putnam. Probably this spring, maybe sometime in April or May, you saw 2 billboards, one at the entrance coming in from Thompson to Putnam, and a billboard that was across the street on South Main Street from the Twin Stop. Both of those billboards were part of our social media campaign to make people aware of the problem of underage drinking in our community. Some more good news. With our collaborative efforts, Pride has survived as a coalition and recently secured additional funding through the STOP Act grant. STOP, the acronym stands for Sober Truth on Preventing Underage Drinking. I don't know how that, all coordinates, but that's what they call it, and that's the federal government. And as Doug mentioned, we were able to secure a STOP Act grant, which will approximately give us $50,000 a year for the next 4 years. Once again, this is going to be administered through the town because we had to go through the town as our fiduciary agent to secure the grant. And if it wasn't for 3 individuals, Brandon Nagel, who is here from Community Health Resources, John Fournier, who also works for CHR, and Sherry Poirier, who is the grant writer at QVCC, with their collaborative efforts and with the help of the town administrator, Doug, we were able to secure the STOP Act. That grant is something of it's a feather in their cap because there's not too many of those given out, and we were fortunate to be one of the communities selected to receive a STOP Act grant. What we're going to do with the money: marketing the Pride in order to increase community awareness of the coalition and expand our influence in crafting policy. We're going to start a campaign of advertising in local periodicals, securing regular radio spots on Winnie, expanding the scope of the existing social host awareness media campaign to reach all parents in the community. And as of today, October 1st, there is a new law that goes into effect as far as social hosting. Parents or guardians who unknowingly, if their children are drinking in their home, they will be subject to imprisonment up to 1 year and subject to a $2,000 fine. In the past, the social host law was only enforced if a parent knowingly gave alcohol to a minor. Now, the law has a lot more teeth to it. In the past year, there were only approximately 700 arrests for violations of the underage drinking law. The state now believes that that number will be in the thousands when as this law goes into effect this year, actually starting today. Also, with the money, we're going to expand the scope of the existing social norms campaign. We're hoping to get into the middle school. We've done a lot of work with the high school students, and our campaign was focused for the first 2 years on the high school, and we received extremely positive feedback from the high school administration and from the students. We'd like to bring that same campaign tailored more to the middle school students at the Putnam Middle School. We're also going to assist the Putnam Police Department by funding compliance checks. And Priscilla Colwell's not here, but Priscilla likes to call them stings, because we're going to check those venues that provide alcohol, whether it's bars or restaurants or package stores. The shoulder tap checks. This is something that we haven't done in the past, but we're going to try and implement a shoulder tap. And if you don't know what that is, that means we have a minor go up to an adult and ask them to purchase alcohol for them. And we'd like to do those kinds of stings, if you will. We've also worked with NACASA. We received approximately $2,400 from Northeast Communities Against Substance Abuse for our purposes in our community. That's a really small amount of money, but we stretch it out, and we were able to use it all for advertising and for some other programs that we conduct throughout the school year. The last of the money, we're looking to fund school surveys to keep an eye on the trends in youth substance abuse over time. And it's required through, anytime we do an application for a grant, we have to have data. And the federal government expects us to have hard data to present whenever we're doing an application for grants. So we do a school survey. In the past, we've been able to get NACASA to pay for school surveys and for evaluations. Unfortunately, Bob Rex does not have any money, and so that is going to fall upon us for the next round of surveys. And we did do one this past year at Putnam High School, and that was the last time that we did a school survey. But we would like to continue to do those. As Doug mentioned, this past Saturday we participated in the 5th National Drug Take-Back Day, and I'm happy to report that we filled about 4 boxes with 100 pounds of expired, unused, and discarded medications. That brings us to a grand total of approximately 785 pounds in 5 collections in the town of Putnam. This is a tremendous amount of prescription medication that we took back, and we hope to continue our collaboration with the Putnam Police Department and the DEA to do a biannual, every 6 months, we're going to do this drug take-back day. I can't think of anything else. I gave myself 15 minutes. I got 1 minute left. So
introduce your members.
So I'll introduce the private members. We have Acting Deputy Chief Lee Kanicki, Miranda Nagel from CHR, the Reverend Barbara Sestiniak from the Methodist Church, Denise Royroad, who is also a private member, and Doug Cutler, our town administrator. Barbara is represents our religious sector, and she has been very active with the group, and mainly because her church is so close to the Twin Stop that insists on selling the drug paraphernalia that we're trying to eliminate in the community. The Safe and Friendly Community Program that was started by the chief in conjunction with Pride in 2010 continues. You see the banners on the streets. We have, we have the safe and friendly community stickers on participating businesses. So we're trying to keep Pride's name out front, and we're trying to continue the good work of making people aware of substance abuse prevention. With that, today is the proclamation for this October will be Substance Abuse Prevention Month. And last month was National Recovery Month. So if, people don't realize today within the community there are people who are in recovery from substance abuse that are among you, and you don't know them because of the anonymity of the program. But those people today, and I can cite several situations and scenarios, that those people are productive citizens that are participating in every aspect, of community life today. So, September, Recovery Month, October, Substance Abuse Prevention Month. That's my report. Questions, answers,
I just want to
comments?
say, my thank you to you and your group, Romeo, for doing an outstanding job. And sometimes, even, in this particular case, without a lot of funding, you're able to carry on. And I'm indebted to you for your efforts. And thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Romeo, just quick, you and maybe Lee also, with the passing of the new medical marijuana bill today, do you anticipate any other issues that may be coming up with children of some of these people?
I don't. I think the biggest issues that we're going to come across, to be quite honest, are people that are going to try to use it as an excuse when we catch them possessing the product illegally. And the law is very specific in what you need to have with you, and what you need to corroborate that. So, but like any new law, there's going to be people that try to circumvent things and try to make it work for them. And we'll cross those bridges when we get there. But
I think one of the other scenarios is the ability of people who want to grow and provide the marijuana. That, I don't think the state really has an idea, or I don't think that they put the proper controls in place. And there's going to be a lot of discussion as to whether, who is going to grow it, who's going to provide it to the pharmacies, and people can only get it with a prescription, so they have to go to a physician to prescribe it. Last year, was it last year? I was out in Anaheim for the Community Addiction Conference in California, and the medical marijuana dispensaries in California, in just that small area near San Diego, there was probably 45 or 50 dispensaries, and only 8 of them were licensed. So there's a tremendous amount of people circumventing, the licensing procedure. So hopefully that doesn't happen, here. And of course the possession, it was reduced from a felony to a misdemeanor for less than 1 ounce of marijuana. So again, that law has been in effect for a year. That possession law.
yeah, it was reduced from a misdemeanor to an infraction. So
Infraction,
it's
okay.
the same as getting a speeding ticket. Less than half an hour. It's actually cleaned up the process as far as arresting people and getting them to court. You're not taking the test anymore. You're just on the roadside writing them a mail-in ticket like you would a speeding ticket. I don't know how the courts are dealing with it, but it's really, to be quite honest with you, it's freed up a lot of time for us because the paper trail is not nearly as long and tedious as it had been prior to that. So.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, folks, so much. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the National Substance Abuse Prevention Month. In your packet, there's a resolution template that's been put together, and if you'd like, I'd read it, but would there be a motion on the floor to accept that resolution?
Second.
A motion and a second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Item D is the acceptance of resignation of Roy Simmons as an alternate on the zoning commission. Would I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, So carried. Item E is acceptance of resignation of Richard Loomis as the Board of Selectmen representative to the High School Building Committee. Dick has a conflicting meeting on that evening with Daytonville Hospital, so he is stepping aside. What would be your pleasure? So move. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion, second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. You voted twice. It was quick, Dick. Jeez. Appointment of a replacement representative to the Putnam High School Building Committee, vote required. And we did have an alternate on the board, and that was Leonard Glenn Allen. So I need a motion on the floor to move him up from an alternate to a permanent position on the building committee. So moved.
Second.
A motion and second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Consideration of Putnam High School Building Committee's request for an appropriation. Doug, can you
Right,
tell us
at
what
the last meeting of the high school building committee, there was a proposal that the committee felt should go forward in terms of receiving an appropriation through the Board of Finance to assist them in terms of going forward with the high school feasibility. And what would be required is that what they'd be looking at over the course of the period of time that they're meeting as a building committee is in November, and this is the tentative timeline that the committee is working on, is confirmation of feasibility study educational specifications, and then the Board of Education would approve the educational specifications. And again, this is on the feasibility study that had been developed by DRA, Drummy, Roseanne, and Anderson, Inc. And then there would be in December and January the building description construction schedule, February 2013 a cost estimate, February through April 2013 notification of project to town agencies, Planning Commission and Board of Finance and such. April 2013 is when they'd be looking to secure local funding through a referendum. And what has to be done is that if you want to be on the state schedule for the state funding, that it has to be, the project application has to be submitted in June, and the deadline for submission of that form is June 30th, 2013, which will get you on the bonding commission. But in the meantime, there will be a cost estimate that will show what is the town share and then what would be the state share. And there are going to be various components that we're looking at. Some will not receive the full type of reimbursement that you normally think of in terms of the educational component. So they'll be looking at all those different considerations during the discussion of leading up to that. This is not the selection of an architect for the full-blown project. That will only come after the town, if the town decides to go forward with the project. This is to just be able to select an architect to help them through this planning phase. And the proposal would be is that they're looking for no more than $5,000. And there is a possibility, again, this will be left to the Board of Finance, but the Board of Education has already, through the superintendent, has said that there's approximately $25,000 that they're looking to have be able to turn back at the end of the fiscal year.
So there's some money there.
Some money there. But again, it'd be a determination with the Board of Finance. Barney, is that basically?
Yeah, that's basically it. They're looking for what they need to fill out the EOD 45 form. To move it forward, they're gonna have all these cost estimates in place prior to June 30th. And at $44,820, but they figured better leave it at $5,000 to get these cost estimates and fill out the application so it can move forward, but they need the money to move forward. Whether the vote goes up or down, it doesn't make a difference. They still need to move forward at this point. They're going to return 26 to the town, ask to give 5 back, and do a yearly end transfer into that account and move forward with it.
So do we, if we approve it, we have a motion on the floor tonight to approve the funding?
I don't
Yes,
think
no,
so.
to recommend that the funding be appropriated by the Board of Finance.
Okay, all right, very good. Do I have a motion in that regard?
I'll motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Thank you. Item H, consideration of a foreclosure policy, and I don't have anything, Denise.
There is a thing in your packet that is a bill subject to immediate foreclosure. It's agenda item 12H. And this is something that I've been talking to the revenue collector, Missy Alden,
Oh, okay.
and Missy is here tonight.
Oh, good, okay. I
And
see.
she's trying to get a sense from the board as to how to proceed in terms of moving forward on some of these bills that are subject to foreclosure. So if you'd like to bring up Missy?
Yeah, Missy, please.
I want to clarify, it was put in, sorry, it was put in for tonight's packet as a consideration of a foreclosure policy. We actually have one right
Yeah.
now. So what I want to bring to everyone's attention is the portions that I really need discussed tonight. In the policy and procedure foreclosure of real estate tax liens, there's a portion that says the mayor's office may choose to review the properties of any town official who can provide additional information regarding sales, zoning, environmental issues, condition of the property that will affect the town's future interests. We've got the list. I can provide the field cards. What I'd like to get is a recommendation from the board tonight that we bring the list to the assessor's office, the board, the zoning, and the building office, so that we may be able to review these particular properties. I would like their considerations because I have the dollars and cents, but I don't know the properties in and out. The assessor's office would be able to tell us what would happen in this off market. Because we will be going forward with foreclosures, there's going to be fees that we will have to pay to the courts and to the attorneys. And we will only be getting compensation if the properties are foreclosed and then sold. You know, otherwise the properties will just sit in the town's name, and that really isn't getting us anywhere. What we want to do is sell those properties. So right now we have the list of the properties that are within the guidelines of the current procedures, and
That's the front page, Missy?
that's my list.
That's the
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
Okay.
I also provided on that list for everyone's perusal the dollars and cents that are owed to the WPCA. Now, some of those property owners have payment plans with the WPCA. Some of the properties have water that's shut off, and I think maybe one or two might have receiverships going with the WPCA right now. They're all being dealt with in their own way, depending on what type of property it is. But currently, this is the amounts that stand, and I just need some kind of forward momentum from you guys as to what you want to do.
Just to give you an example, the Rosenfield at Middlemass.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so for instance, Rosenfield, Middlemass, we would know there probably might be a possibility of environmental. So, you know, take that into consideration.
Yeah, some of these properties, they have been, the water has been shut off, the owners have walked away from the property. If they're sitting vacant, they may be in certain levels of distress as far as the buildings are concerned. Some of it is just land, there's residential in there, there's commercial in there, you know, it's a little of everything. But what we need to decide at this point in time is, do we want to proceed with all of them, portions of them? It makes no difference, you know, to our office which ones are handled first. Only that we get some kind of discussion and motion as to, you know, what the next procedure will be for you.
I think getting on, like you said, meeting with everybody, getting all that information would be the next step.
Yeah, there are local towns that use the recommendation of other town officials in the choosing of the properties that would be subject to foreclosure first.
Yeah.
Some of these properties, being small slips of land, might be an interest to parties around them. Yeah. Others we might not want to touch right away because, you know, they're in a soft market. They may just sit, and you know that isn't really going to benefit us. But some of the pieces, the parcels, are actually you know, viable for this current market. There's some condos and you know, little pieces of land, some houses that aren't really all that distressed. And I think that if we took a look at them and had some input from the other officials, we might be able to decide what to do next and which pieces to work with first.
I would make that motion, those other people, get kind of like a list together, which you think would be best, and then maybe come back to the board with it, or,
Come back to the board with recommendations,
Yeah.
Missy?
Sure.
Vincent, can I ask you a question? On the ones that, no probate,
Yeah.
how is that handled through in the town? I'm not, have you ever had any legal opinion on that? If the person's deceased, there's no probate, can the family members later come back, or do we just put an announcement in the paper like they do in regular probate?
Well, I've spoken to probate, when the notes saying that there is no probate. A lot of these properties have been sitting for 10 to 20 years, and there's been no momentum from anyone who's a family member that these properties are of any interest to them. So the probate office currently knows about the situation. They don't seem to be wanting to do the next step. They send out letters and they try to contact, members of the family, and they really, I guess they don't really have any authority to do anything to help us in trying to, resolve the tax issues. But we do know that a lot of these properties have been sitting for a very long time. So part of the process for foreclosure or anything on the lines of that would be trying to find the current owners, if any, putting out a notice. You would actually file use pendants against the property. So you would be putting public notice in Sarah's office that there is an intent. So anyone who has interest in the property would be coming forward by a particular time. And then as soon as that period of time is passed, then the attorney has the authority to foreclose against the property, going back to court and finalizing.
Now, if we foreclose on them, do we move up to number one?
We are number one.
Yeah, I know we're number one, but we still stay number one even if we foreclose on it, right?
There's no, the problem is that if we do take over the property, the intent would be to sell. You're always going to look at what you have invested in the property. So you would put in, a typical minimum bid to cover
Our taxes.
Yeah, reasonable expenses, taxes, attorney fees, or whatever. You'd start the bidding process at whatever you feel you need, and then go from there.
I have a motion, I didn't get a second, so let me get a second before we go forward. Yeah, second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So carried. Thank you, Missy.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Item I, approval of all bills.
Make a motion, we all approve those.
I have a second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, yeah. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So carried. Yes. All other business will lawfully come before such meeting.
There's CCM is sponsoring a prescription discount card. I want to mention this before. It's free to municipality and our citizens in Putnam. It's through a nationwide, is ProAct, and they're basically a discount that work with pharmacies throughout the country. All the major pharmacies are part of it. Walmart, Rite Aid, Walgreens, Price Chopper, Stop and Shop. So CCM had worked out an agreement with ProAct to provide this service on behalf of towns that are, I'm sure it's more than just the CCM, but primarily for the CCM. And one of the things that is required is that we have to sign an agreement with ProAct, a service agreement, because they would take this on and they do a number of things on behalf of the town, including this distribution of these discount pharmacy prescription cards to all residents. And there'd be other things that they would provide to the town in terms of advertising and that type of thing to help us in terms of getting the word out. I just wanted to get a sense from the board whether this is something you think we should pursue,
I
and
am.
if it's all right to have this service agreement referred to the town attorney.
You know, I think it's a wonderful idea to help people that are distressed, that need medications, and we can help them save a little money. I think it's a wonderful project.
Okay,
Yeah, so you need a motion to send it to.
just a sense, if that's, okay.
I think it's just a great idea. Item 13 is public comment. We'll be happy. Yes, sir.
Joe Vernon, 17 Wall Street. As I learned to navigate your website, I am very computer literate, but I must have a problem with websites. I'm still learning about it. I have a particular interest in the blight ordinance. I'd like to be able to read it and understand it. Is it available on the website, or is that something I have to?
Yeah, Joe, it's with our attorney right now. It's with our attorney
Oh,
right
so
now.
you're still
Yeah, we're still
putting
in
it
the
together.
development stages of
Okay.
that ordinance.
All right.
As soon as it's available, we'd be happy to share it with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've learned tonight that I'm
It's in
becoming.
draft now, yeah.
I'm becoming a regular here. I never thought that would happen, but no, I've found that I've been getting a lot of help from the town as far as the issues in my neighborhood, and I appreciate all the help.
We appreciate your participation. Yes, Dolly.
Dolly Tetra, 5 Mile River Road. Christmas is coming up soon, and banners on our city streets, are they holiday, happy holiday, or Merry Christmas? I'm pretty sure they're a happy holiday. And,
I think they're
would
season's
like to
greetings.
see- Yeah, on the road. I would like to see the Merry Christmas banners coming back. Why not? And then the manger. The manger.
Well, as far as the
not-
manger, it goes between the churches. They alternate the churches each year.
Well, how come, Davis Pop still has the manger on it?
Yeah.
You
We
know,
had an issue with that a number of years ago, Dolly, and we came to an agreement to allow the churches to share that manger. And it goes from church to church to church, and
And it's not on our town property. But why is not Merry Christmas banners on it? What is the disapproval?
I can look into it for you, but I know that the towns normally err on the side of caution pertaining to holidays, and not to offend anybody, with holiday greetings or anything, but
Well, could we have, a vote on it or something?
what I'd like to have you do is, Dolly, go to the rec commission and talk to Willie Busquette and crew, and tell them what your thoughts are, and start there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's being taken away, and it's too much of a holiday thing. It's not the Merry Christmas that we used to have.
Yeah.
And it's just because Christ is in there, I think it should be noted for the
Go to the
holiday.
American Civil Liberties.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dolly.
Yeah.
Further public comment this evening?
Yeah.
Hearing none, adjournment.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Yes.
All those in favor? Thank you all.
Monday Night Football, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that, number 30, my gosh, Monday Night Football.